If you're hearing something about zip, congratulations. That means your QB room probably has it. But if they can't grip it and rip it to create that zippy effect, then it might be time to just zip up your hopes on the season, because that likely means your QB probably ain't really worth a
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Sure hope I timed that right. Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your top stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at Alldeo State. Today, we're brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first entire year. We are going to roll right into this foosball quarterback conversation because the something about zip is trending. Got to give a shout out to Pistol Rick for kind of putting this thing out here. Even Oklahoma State University official X has been rolling with this, making a trending topic. It boils down to this. If your QB has enough velocity to create the zip, then it's going to be a remarkable thing to experience this particular season. Oklahoma State is battling between Zane Flores and Hauss. The biggest question about Hauss is everybody knows about this Olympic level speed essentially, but does he have the ability to sling that rock? Well, I'm here to say it's very evident that he definitely does. He is here, just like Zane Flores, to prove it. Show us what you're made of and fire that daggone pigskin. Name that movie with a QB rocking number 4. This is going to be an exciting season for Oklahoma State when the chips are down and people are underestimating Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State. All of this conversation about the quarterback play and we don't have one and it's going to be a disaster, this, that, and the other. That's okay. But I'd imagine at the end of the season, or at least some portions of the season, we're going to be able to see that our QBs have enough zip to make things zippy enough for the season to progress all the way to the end, maybe making a run at Arlington. Oklahoma State's schedule definitely sets up for this, but the quarterback position is obviously always going to be the one that often dictates the level of success that you're going to have on the season. Zane Flores or Hauss are going to be in perfect position to make a run for Oklahoma State this upcoming season. Hauss might be running a significant amount as we look at that Olympic level speed on field, but Zane Flores seems to have the poise, seems to have the pocket presence, the ability to get out of the pocket, the ability to conduct himself to an upper echelon style of level. Hauss does bring a significant amount of things to the fold. So even if Hauss isn't going to be QB1, the likelihood of him getting a significant amount of packaging is very, very high, and we're here for it. This is going to be a remarkable thing to undertake. And I think a large portion of the doubters have no idea what Hauss and Zane Flores are about to bring to the table. Zane Flores has been the dude that has been viewed as the heir apparent, the next big thing to come to Oklahoma State. And yes, sometimes those dudes don't live up to expectations. The only thing that prevented Hauss likely, other than Casey Dunn, from playing this previous season was that foot injury. How early that foot injury was probably made a determination on whether he was going to play throughout the course of the season or not. Now we have to throw him into the lion's den. We have to see what it's going to look like on the field. Now, thankfully, Hauss does have some Power 4 snaps at TCU. Yes, they were primarily running. He did roll out to throw, but he ended up tucking it and taking it off. So from a packaging perspective, you could take what he did at TCU and visually expect it to be significantly more enhanced in Stillwater, Oklahoma after this glass factory effect takes hold. Zane Flores was a dude who just last spring was competing as the RB3 on the depth chart just to get us by because of a couple injuries. Now, injuries are also going to take into consideration here because when you do have mobile quarterbacks, there is a high likelihood that one of them does get injured, but that's okay because we got Banks Bowen rocking number 4, who has a lot of running capabilities as well. It likely is going to take him some time to understand the nuances of the offense and mechanically what he needs to do, drive the football and get the pigskin in the end zone. But this idea that Hauss and Zane Flores could be a dual quarterback thing, it's definitely going to be visible against UT Martin in game 1. Partially because it does make sense. Secondarily, because you don't want to tip your hand to Oregon. You don't want to give them a bunch of information on what you're trying to do. On top of that, we're likely going to use such a condensed version of the playbook against UT Martin that we may give out 14-ish plays on the defensive side of the ball, maybe something comparable on the offensive side of the ball. When you have this elite level speed from Hauss, it's hard to prepare for. I mean, look at somebody like Tyreek Hill. Now, we're definitely not saying Hauss is Tyreek fast, but Hauss is, from all indications, the second fastest player on the team. When the players are talking about who would win in a foot race, Jalen Lloyd should be the common consensus, and he is. But whenever you're a national champion in track and field in 2022, the expectations are for you to be a burner. See, I know words are hard for me. He was able to showcase that at Nebraska. He should be able to showcase that at Oklahoma State. And the only person that's going to be running with him more often than not is going to be Hauss. So I don't care who you are out in the country, right? The Oregons, the Bamas, the Georgias, will they have some dudes fast enough to catch Hauss? Well, of course, absolutely, for sure. But it's only going to be like a handful of corners here and there. You're not going to find safeties and linebackers that have the capability to chase down Hauss from behind. And if you are a DB or a cornerback and you just so happen to take the wrong angle, you're cooked. You're absolutely cooked. And then you bring in Zane Flores to the fold. 6'3", 220 pounds, Mr. Nebraska Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year, still the all-time leader in yards in Nebraska high school history. That dude is finally getting his opportunities alongside Hauss to make a name for themselves early on through fall camp. Yes, we still have a little bit of time before there's going to be a decision made on who's going to be the official QB1, but it does definitely feel like Zane has the ability and the poise in the pocket presence and the comfort with protecting the football enough to make this make more sense for him to kind of take the reins as the season goes on. And up until this previous Sunday, that wasn't really necessarily going to be the most plausible scenario. But Zane gets an opportunity. Of course, he's going to take advantage of it. He did take advantage of it, so much so that as we get ready for the depth chart in the next week and a half to 2 weeks that Oklahoma State's going to put out, both of these quarterbacks have done more than enough to put themselves in a good spot coming into that final, before we start the season, depth chart. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really necessarily matter because these dudes can run, these dudes can ball, and they both have enough zip to get us going places pretty big time this season. I'm incredibly excited about this particular quarterback room, this quarterback group in general. I do think that Mason Schubert can provide something to Oklahoma State. I do think that Banks Bowen is going to be able to learn some things throughout his time in Stillwater, America. But let me know down in the comments section what you're thinking. Some people definitely want it to continue to be Hauss. Some people are ready to see the Zane train start rolling in Stillwater, America, and rolling through Big 12 country. Regardless of who ends up being that dude here in a couple weeks, they're both going to play a lot against UT Martin. It's a very high likelihood that they both play a significant amount against Oregon. There's a high likelihood that they both play a pretty substantial amount all season, right? We've talked about 2013 with J.W. Walsh and Clint Shelf. We talked a little bit about 2015 with J.W. Walsh and Mason Rudolph. It could look something like that. And I think to some degree, from a seconds perspective, it is going to look very, very similar to just that. Monarch Money is here to help you and save you from some of the difficulties in finances. Like all of us have wished at some point in time that we could manage the money better, or we felt safer, that life could be navigated easier with the right money management. With Monarch, it can be. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It is like having your own personal CFO, giving you the full visibility you need to take control of your finances. Monarch Money is far more than just your regular budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're now able to build more wealth with it. This is your biggest opportunity. We've all looked at our spending and been surprised by some of the little meticulous things that we didn't think were adding up. Monarch is going to help you with that. Everything's in one app, which makes it easier to manage all of your money and your day-to-day financial operations. So get squared away today. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first entire year. That is monarchmoney.com. Use that code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for half off your first entire year. Now we get to shift gears here into the laws of fours. I think this is obviously going to be an exciting season for Oklahoma State, and there's a lot of things that kind of line this thing up. When I think of the ultimate amount of zip, I think of Brett Favre. Obviously, rock number 40 or number 4 in Green Bay. He was always trying to break 4 or more fingers on every single curl route, which, yes, you guessed it, that is number 4 in the route tree. Maybe off topic a hair. I don't want to jump around too much, but I didn't go to bed until late, which is maybe why I have this red eye, pink eye, stink eye, gonorrhea eye. I don't know what the flip it is, but it is what it is, and here we are. I was daydreaming till well past 4 a.m. on how we're going to erase 2024 by conducting practices based on snapping the ball in under 4 seconds. That could be the magic or even angelic number that we're looking for, much like the number 444. Trent Howland is ready to score in jersey number 24. Shy is up for the Manley Award, rocking number 44. Hauss, of course, was in number 4 before adding 4 to it. Running a 4-4 just to hand it off to Banks Bowen, who also probably likes to work on that curl route with the new tight ends coach, J.W. Walsh, who, of course, wore number 4. On top of all that, whenever you look at Oklahoma State this upcoming season, Rashad Bradley looks pretty promising in 44. We have a strong presence in 94 with Armstrong and Odom. Wendell Gregory looks pretty dominant with the defensive number 4. Doug Meacham was born in 1964, came to O State in 84 to play 4 years just to end up blocking for number 34 and the GOAT, Barry Sanders, who happened to break 34 NCAA records. And yes, Doug Meacham also played in 4 bowl games. His first year as offensive coordinator in Fort Worth, TCU, Texas, was in 2014. And along the way, all of Doug Meacham's accomplishments, he was a finalist for the Broyles Award that year. The D-Kings, betting app that we do not speak of, currently has our over-under sitting just above 4 at 4.5. 4 years ago, we played for the Big 12 title on December 4th, and we got stuffed on the goal line, 4 inches short from the 4-yard line with 24 seconds left. That close to a Big 12 title. But that's okay, because Oklahoma State's played in 34 bowl games, with the first of which being right after 1944 with a 34-0 victory over TCU. We beat OU twice in the last 4 years, being the king of Bedlam, the king of Oklahoma in that time. So maybe the biggest threat to losing 4 games this season to potentially end up 8-4, or maybe Oregon, Texas Tech, K-State, Iowa State, whom we just so happen to play the week that we, all of us, regulators, we enter year 4 here with Locked On. And with my 6'4", one-leg capabilities, it's pretty intriguing. It's pretty enticing. And plus, we're just over 400 subscribers away from being at 9,400. And then all of that laws of 4 stuff I threw at you, you may have missed it. So we have to circle back around to the biggest one. Snapping the ball in under 4 seconds seems to be the key for Oklahoma State this upcoming season. Now, the turbo package isn't going to be a continuous thing. A decent portion of this is conditioning, but you don't practice it this often if you don't anticipate it being a weapon. And from the conditioning aspect of it, I don't know if we're trying to get a bunch of dudes to run 4.40s, or we're trying to get a handful of dudes to run 4-minute miles inside Boone Pickens Stadium in under 4 minutes. Regardless, I'm here for it. I love it. This is a laws of force kind of season. While calling on Boone, who just so happened to have the capability this season to hover over Boone Pickens Stadium and lead us to Arlington, to the promised land. Ironically enough, Boone Pickens left ConocoPhillips in 1954 to start making himself ready for his massive campaign called the Giving Pledge, which started coming together officially in 2024, which just so also happened to be the same year we lost Les Miles, opening the door for Mike Gundy to take over in 2025. The idea that this team, this offense, this group, this crew could be operating consistently, snapping the ball under 4 seconds, gives me a ton of hope. Right? We've reverted back to the 2011 Oklahoma State offense, the Trayvon Boykin 2014 style offense as well that Doug Meacham been a part of. But another fun little thing when you look back, there was this deal where Brandon Whedon, Dana Holgerson, Todd Monken, they would all kind of have these like internal competitions. And Brandon Whedon took it as a badge of honor to snap the ball in under 3 seconds. That's how fast that 2010, 2011 offense was operating. Is it going to be quite that way this season? Again, probably not. You're not going to run turbo 24/7 because that does put your defense in a fairly precarious position. But if it's something that we're working on, it's something that we can look forward to, it's something that we can look back at and realize this has been successful before, not just in the 2010, 2011 seasons. They just kept going. Running that level of tempo, putting up 60 points, 70 points, 55 points. That was commonplace, not only for Oklahoma State, but there was a lot of teams in the Big 12 that were doing the same thing, the Texas Techs, the OUs of the world. Everybody was operating pretty comparable to that. Now, ironically enough, the SEC gave the Big 12 such a hard time during those times. Yeah, it's a league that has nothing but offense. And, of course, the quarterbacks look pretty good because all the defenses are terrible, this and that and the other. And you fast forward, nowadays the SEC looks more like the old school Big 12 when it comes to the high-flying offenses. And the Big 12, at least recently, has been very old school, been very smash-mouth, been very simplistic. The offensive line just dominating your dude across from you, your area of operation, opening holes for Ollie Gordon just to pound the rock. We saw Cam Scadaboo do it. We've seen KU do it. We've seen so many teams in the Big 12 shift that, to me, I'm pretty happy and pretty comfortable with the idea that Oklahoma State could potentially be utilizing this snapping in under 4 seconds thing, not just for conditioning, but also for the preparation and rotation. In addition to that, the fact that we have the ability to do that is going to pay massive dividends this upcoming football season. Again, this is a laws of fours kind of year. And we really need to erase 2024. We just played for the Big 12 title 4 years ago. So we're not all that far removed from Oklahoma State presenting itself like it's supposed to get rid of this nonsense about how Kyle Whittingham is going to have Utah competing for Big 12 title this season because he's Kyle Whittingham, yet somehow magically Mike Gundy is going to poop the bed because him and Kyle Whittingham are almost identical. There's so many things to look forward to this upcoming season. The fact that we have at least 4 running backs that seem to be factoring into the rotation that provide a multitude of different things, whether it be Rodney Fields doing a little bit of everything, whether it's Caleb Hicks putting his shoulder down and making some magic happen with the versatility and capability to bounce it outside when need be. Maybe it's Sesi Valahe. He's going to take a handoff up the gut. Perhaps he's going to roll out, hit a wheel route, catch a touchdown, get his Jaden Nixon on. Regardless, this is the perfect time for you to get pumped up about Oklahoma State football. This is the time. This is the year. The laws of fours. We put this thing together because it does feel a little bit different. It does seem like things are going in a completely different direction. This staff, especially defensively, is pretty crazy. It's a pretty wild time. And don't get it twisted. Doug Meacham does not mind mixing it up, which does make sense when you think about him being one of those offensive linemen that got to block from 1984 and beyond for the Barry Sanders, for the Thurman Thomases of the world. He's got that mean streak. He's got that nasty in him. He's got that dog, and he's bringing it out this year. And I think a portion of that is because the defense is bringing it out of him, which has me ready for this season. Before we skedaddle on off here, we do have to talk about the wide receiver dudes that are starting to make some major moves. You all know my affinity for Iowa Shotomide-King. And I do think that the 6'4", 6'5", 225, 230-pound dude is going to be a problem. But one of the difficulties in being that sized is sometimes you get nicked up, you get banged up a little bit, but that's okay because it's opened the door for another 6'4" wide receiver and number 14, Cam Abshire. Cam Abshire's been able to kind of make a name for himself. Christian Fitzpatrick, he is the dude. He is the Tay Martin, the Marcel Aitman of this group. Perhaps Io could get there throughout the course of the season if he has some things go his way, has some health things work in his favor. Shamar Rigby is definitely out here making some waves and making some plays and doing some things. When you think about the slot receiver position, Sam Jackson V, the former TCU quarterback turned Auburn wide receiver, he has more versatility than a Swiss Army knife on the field. Gavin Freeman, very comparable as well. So much so that it'll be very easy to see those dudes also lining up all over the field, in the backfield, putting us in a position to even go 4 wide. NASCAR style 4 wide at Oklahoma State. Once again, this is part of the old school offenses that we really cut our teeth on. When Mike Gundy talks about Oklahoma State finally getting to a position where we're a nationally respected brand, a large portion of that was because of the offenses. One of the reasons we've always been able to attract the top end wide receiver and running back talent is because of the offensive innovations that Oklahoma State was always at the forefront of. You think of the Mike Leach air raid system, of course. You think of what OU had rocking and rolling for so many years. Oklahoma State obviously factors into that equation as well. And Doug Meacham was here for a good chunk of it. And he was at TCU when they were operating, incorporating a lot of the same things, the same ways, and having equally as productive teams. But that's just not it. Royal Capel, when it comes to freshmen, he's that guy. He's going to squeeze into this thing as well. Terrell Davis, when that dude gets better at spatial awareness and the understanding of everything in the playbook, he's going to be a problem. Like, you can't, at this level, you can't cut your routes a yard short, right? You can't round it too much, because then you allow the defender that's not supposed to be in that area to make a play a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more room to operate. And sometimes if you don't do everything precisely right on a route, you can get pushed into an area that makes it complicated for the quarterback window. But athletically, he's got it. He's there. He's that guy. Mike Gundy's given raving reviews of Terrell Davis, because of coming from that level immediately to Oklahoma State and already putting himself in a position to make this kind of leap very, very, very quickly. That's one of the many reasons that we need to be excited about this particular roster, this particular wide receiver room. It is going to take some of these Christian Fitzpatrick, Shamar Rigby, Iowa Shotomide-Kings, Cam Abshire, Terrell Davis. It's going to take these dudes to make some miraculous things happen occasionally. When you're breaking in 2 new quarterbacks, you're going to have help. When you're replacing 7 returning offensive line, regardless of what the O-line looked like, it's still 7 dudes that, from an understanding of what the defense is trying to do and the communication aspect and calling things back to the quarterback and being able to help shift protections and identify the main threats. All of that typically takes a little bit of time. And unfortunately, some of the guys who have made maybe some of the biggest differences came after spring. Your Markel Samuels, your Bob Schicks, your Grant Seagrins from Nebraska. Those dudes showed up a little bit late. Now, being veteran presences, more often than not, is going to lead themselves more capable of sliding in a starting style opportunity pretty quick. But it's not a sure thing. None of this is a sure thing. The only sure thing that we have is that we're going to roll out on the field against UT Martin with a bunch of new dudes, including a bunch of new wide receivers, right? A bunch of new calls, plays, systems, checks, audibles, shifts, protections, all of that. So it is new. We are going to need some help. We are going to have to be somewhat creative. But it definitely appears as though the coaching staff is getting these guys prepared. The locker room camaraderie and cohesiveness seems to be at a pretty rare level for having 65 new dudes. Mike Gundy seems to be operating a little bit differently. Todd Grantham does things way differently. Ryan Osborne, he's the truth. He might be the coach that gets the most out of everybody. This is a very intense team. This is a very intense coaching staff. These practices are wild. Fall camp has been crazy. And we're still not exactly tackling all the way to the ground in full contact. But anywho, let me know what you guys think. We other have wide receivers too, like the DeJuan Lofton got some playing time this previous season. Cam Hurd has been able to pop on film here and there throughout his time. Trey Griffiths, extremely promising wide receiver as a true freshman this previous season. It's going to be an exciting season, an exciting time, an exciting team, and largely because people are doubting Oklahoma State, which I don't get. It's the laws of 4 season. We've got multiple QBs with enough zip to cause teams to zip their lip on talking all that craziness as the season progresses. Anywho, that's all we're going to have for this one at Rice Share. As always, you know I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you liked it. Dislike it if you didn't. That's okay too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. My podcast and people out there. You're the bricks, the bread, the butter, the fountain, the fondue. You're all of it. You know what to do. So go do what you do. Hit the stars. Leave some reviews. All righty, y'all. Later, my taters.